I'm intrigued because this much emphasis on history, quite frankly, amuses me. Forget re-narrating. What in the first place do we mean by our history? As a scientist, the time scale that interests me is not 100 or 500 or 1,000 years, but 1 billion or 5 billion or 10 billion years. And on this time scale, I'm not Indian, but Ethiopian. I'm not a descendant of a Ranganathan, but the descendant of AL2881 or Lucy. And I'm not a creation of design, but of a conspiracy hatched by thunder and lightning and water and ammonia and hydrogen and methane and dust. Let religion and its mesmerizing literature not fool you into believing you were created by someone who wasn't a product of the RNA world. And so nothing really matters, whether our ancestors were brilliant or not, whether our culture is ancient or not, whether our religions are better or not. We are but an inconsequential bunch of cells. Then why does history matter? It matters because, like science, it has to be built on an edifice of truthful observation and facts, because the correct understanding of it strengthens us, helps us survive. With a slight difference, scientists like black and white, historians love the gray. This gray has given mankind, I put to you, ladies and gentlemen, only misery. It is because of the gray that there are people who still believe in religious books, or in Mao and Hitler and Tipu and Godse and Churchill and Rhodes and Aurangzeb and hundreds more who have committed awful crimes, but the believers of grey have forgiven them because they also did some good. Grey is social Darwinism gone berserk. Grey has birthed cruel empires and believers of the grey have feted them. Worse, our history has been written by those who believe in the grey. Nations weaken not because of their past, but rather by how they are taught it. For 70 years, we have been taught to forget historical injustices. From Somnath to Kashi Vishwanath, Babarpur to Bakhtiyarpur, from Allahabad to Aurangabad, these injustices have deliberately been made visible, as though to lionize the debasement, celebrate the humiliation. And the irony is that the same people who have taught us this, drilled this self-loathing in us, these very same people, men and women of grey, want others to fight historical injustice around the world. They condemn barbarians of the West, hitherto worshipped, like the Confederacy generals, Rhodes, Churchill, Pizarro, Murray, Colston, Leopold. They celebrate their roads and buildings being renamed, their statues being brought down. But here in India, they eulogize Tipu, Aurangzeb, Babar, Khilji. They celebrate the destruction of Kashi, Mathura, Ayodhya, Martand. Why? To me, the mark of civilization is this unquenchable thirst to demand justice for your ancestors, to correct a historical wrong. For that exemplifies a continuity, an idea, a memory that can never be erased. That is worth fighting for and preserving. It makes justice greater than the sum of its parts. And that is why civilizations are not fleeting like empires. That is why history is a medicine. Catharsis is a cure. If an image could speak 1,000,000 words, it would be that of the Gyan-Vyapi mosque built atop Kashi Vishwanath, demolished by Aurangzeb. If orphaned stones could speak and not just weep, the stories they would tell of Mathura idols being used as stepping stones in a mosque, why shouldn't Mathura or Kashi be washed of the sins of the tyrants committed on it? But the Supreme Court has willfully ratified the Places of Worship Act that obligates maintaining all religious places as they were on August 15, 1947. In a just world, our Parliament and our Supreme Court wouldn't have done this. But they have. Why? Because we are fearful of learning our true history. There are hundreds of examples, but just one would suffice. Tipu Sultan. Read his manifesto, written in his own words. It is a terrifying proclamation calling for all Muslims to come together to wage jihad. Annihilation of the infidels is a sacred duty, he writes. The Hindus of Coorg suffered a particularly brutal onslaught. Murders, tortures, forced conversions, even dead Hindus were converted, even dead Hindus. He destroyed 800 temples, 27 churches, captured 60,000 Christians, converted 30,000, killed thousands. And yet we call him a symbol of communal harmony. We cheer when the statue of the evil racist King Leopold is demolished in Belgium. But the same we celebrate Tipu Jayanti because tyrants who murder Hindus and Christians are not tyrants but heroes. History for us is either to be hidden or invented. We tell and retell what we like of it, and what we don't, we scrunch it up and slip it under the mattress as if it doesn't exist. For the victors, a quill to write history with. For the vanquished, the burden to peddle it. But we forget. We forget that history is not homeopathy. It does not work as a placebo when diluted. It simply disappears. Ladies and gentlemen, we owe it to our survival to be ruthlessly honest about our history. We owe it to science to make sure history doesn't disappear.